Alright guys, video 2 for Unit 2. We're going to cover migration, hopefully a little bit faster than 17 minutes it took me for population. So migration is a pretty simple concept, right? You move from one place to another. And you can do that for various reasons, and those are called push and pull factors. So pull factors are something that they're pulling you towards it. It's very attractive, right? Like the sirens wail, it's just like like the sound of loot in Fortnite. You just want to gravitate towards it. Yeah. And then the other one, the opposite, is a push factor, something pushing you out beyond your control, maybe it is in your control, but you don't want to be there anymore. So let's start with pull factors. The biggest one for here is going to be economics by far, right? Like job opportunity in another country, state, city, whatever. The other one's going to be maybe you want to go live with your family. Maybe you want to go live in a nice beachy area like Florida or California, right? For retirement. The weather can be one. Maybe you're moving because of the government and you disagree with a lot of policies and you want to get out. So what I just did was ESPN, right? Economic, social, political, and environmental. So those are all the different factors. And you can just flip those on their heads, and you get the push factors, right? So like maybe the government has started a civil war. That's a pretty big push factor. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe there are no jobs to be had. Maybe there was a natural disaster like a hurricane or a tornado, an earthquake, and you can't live there anymore. Or maybe you're being targeted because of your race or religion or gender or sexuality. Those would all be push factors. And so my boy Ravenstein came up with some laws of migration. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we're going to cover the main ones. People don't really move that far, right? It's kind of a hard thing to do. You need money, you need time. And so you go short distances. And you also aren't going to it's kind of hard to move, especially if you're going to another country, right? Like if I went to Norway tomorrow, I don't know Norwegian. They probably speak better English than I do, but it would still be a huge cultural shock for me to get used to. Maybe I wouldn't be accepted. So there are a lot of risks that people take, so they go short steps. Most people go from rural areas to urban areas. Why? Economic opportunity. There's going to be a lot of jobs in a big city compared to a 5,000 person town. And then sort of most migrants are single and 25 years old. So think about this one. Traveling with kids, traveling when you're old, are difficult. Maybe you have health problems. Kids are another mouth to feed. It's an economic burden. So most people will go by themselves, maybe work for a little bit, send remittances back, right here. And then their family will come over a little bit later. All right. So some big topics with migration. We've got refugees. Obviously, that's a big one. People who lose their house or their place of living through no faults of their own, right? So the Syrian civil war has millions and millions of refugees that have dispersed throughout the world because you can't live in a war zone at all. And so that's a huge issue, right? They need resources, they need healthcare, they need education. So who provides that? Because it costs money. Where do they live? Where do they physically stay? So that's a big issue. Guest workers, people who have temporary permits to come work in your country. Example, Germany after World War II, completely devastated. Needed a lot of rebuilding, which means they needed a lot of labor. So they got Turkish guest workers to come work in Europe, as in Germany, and then they were supposed to go back. Spoiler alert, they didn't, or most of them didn't. So there's a huge Turkish population in Germany now, and that's caused some issues culturally. Germany is a lot more inclusive than they were before World War II. but there are still like cultural tensions in some places. But they have brought a lot of amazing food and other culture to Germany, so that is a huge benefit. And obviously, their economy greatly improved. Then we have the brain drain. World War II is another good example for this. Let's say I'm Jewish. My name is Albert Einstein. I'm from Germany, and I don't want to live under Adolf Hitler. And I'm a brilliant scientist, and there are many other Jewish scientists like me living in Europe, and we're kind of afraid of what's going to happen. So we want to move somewhere that's safe. So the United States offers you a job helping them win the war, and in exchange you'll get a safe place to live. And this is kind of something called a brain drain. Another example of this would be like the United States has the best universities in the world. So people come to get an education and they'll stay here. The smartest of all these international communities will end up in the United States. So it's a brain drain. Forced migration. This is when you have no choice but to leave. We covered this with like Yugoslavia. We covered this with Syria. There are wars in Iraq and Afghanistan as well. So these are people that are forced to leave through various reasons, economic, social, political, or environmental. We already covered that. Here are some examples historically. We've got the slave trade, colonialism. We've got waves of immigration from Europe and Asia. Again, another wave of European immigrants coming to the United States. And then currently we're in the fourth wave, which is a lot of South American immigrants and Central American immigrants moving to the U.S. And there are various reasons for that. I'll let you guys read through these. Mostly economic. And there we are. Yay. All right, so check Google Classroom for your assignment. And I hope you guys enjoy your week.